What's going on, Moonlighters? Welcome back to another video where today I'm reviewing Dead Island 2 6 days in. But before that, let's get to the intro. Now before we talk about the game, let's talk about its history real quick. Now, Dead Island 2 was first announced for release in 2014, where it was all over websites for pre-order, and we had seen beta footage. It was playable at certain little game events, and really, it was insane to see how much had already been done. We were all ready to play, however, most of us were unaware we would have to wait almost a decade to see the game be finished. And well, that didn't sit right with a lot of people, and it left most of us thinking we'd probably never see a sequel to our favorite zombie game. Radio silence for years left many of us discouraged on the idea that Dead Island 2 would ever happen, until last year, December of 2022. We heard information that Dead Island 2 had been picked up by another studio and was finally in active development after years of silence. And now, it had a pre-order date. That was insane. It went up for pre-order just before January and was set to be released in February. However, it didn't end up being released in February, and that scared a lot of people. We thought that maybe by some chance this game that had been in development hell for almost a decade and had finally had some kind of work done on it would be scrapped or put on a back burner once again. Thankfully, that was not the case. They pushed it to April, and we found that it would be released a week earlier than previously set after record-setting pre-orders were put down. And well, that made us all sparkle. All of this information brings us to today, 6 days in on Dead Island 2. And I'm here to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now let's talk about the good. This game is one of the most visually appealing games I've ever seen. The LA hills here are put together beautifully and scarily. It drags you in, the scenery keeps you guessing. You'll never know when you'll find a crater or when you'll find a house that you can go into or when you can break the glass somewhere. When there are cars lurking around every corner, you just never know. When you hit a zombie and you watch the flesh melt from its face, or you see its jaw begin to break, or bones begin to pop out of its arms, it feels so realistic. You feel as if you're playing a horror movie, and that is something that I just love. This is a horror game that I have wanted my entire life. It genuinely scares me to play this game in the dark. And that is not something I've seen in a very long time from a very large studio. Truth be told, it feels like we spoke and the developers for this game listened. It feels like they've overhauled everything that made the first Dead Island amazing and turned this one into an even better game. Now this is a new game, so just like with all new games, it does have problems. So don't expect everything to be all sunshine and rainbows here. So let's talk about the bad. While this game is beautiful, some areas don't load in correctly. I've ran into a few errors where it will crash my PlayStation. I've ran into issues where certain zombie textures load in at a very low quality. Some weapons and such will become uninteractable. You can't pick up certain things. I've noticed issues with progression. Certain things just don't work right. So I feel that with updates that will probably be mitigated, but right now as it stands, some of this game just doesn't work, and that irks me considering that this game has been in development for a very long time. But hopefully, updates to come, it will be fixed. Some of the combat feels a little clunky. Things here are a little rough. You go to hit a zombie, you could miss. You kick a zombie across the way, it may not hit. It doesn't feel too immersive, I suppose would be the right word. It just doesn't come together as well as I would like it to. And as I've said before, maybe this is me just not being great at the game. However, in my eyes, right at the moment, it needs work. The combat system could use a decent amount of tweaking before this makes this game unplayable. Now on to the ugly. Now, personally, I don't care for this game's scavenging system. I didn't like it in the first one. I don't care for it here. Item variety just doesn't feel randomized well enough. It feels like there's too many of certain items in the game and you won't find enough of other items in various places. It feels hard to find things you're looking for. With all that being said, this is a great game, although it does have flaws. But we waited a decade for this game, and now that it's here, I know a lot of us probably feel like kids in a candy store. It is insane to be playing this game that most of us probably dreamed about years ago when we first saw it. I love the way that things have been put together. I personally enjoy playing, but I cannot wait to see the tweaks and the updates and the DLC that comes in the future. Hopefully, things continue to progress and things get better, and hopefully they listen to us as we go on about the issues that we're having. But right now, as it stands, I would give this game a solid 9 out of 10. Can't give it a full 10 out of 10 because it still feels like there's something lacking from the game experience, but 9 out of 10 because it is still a solid experience. I love the way it handles, and I love the way things are. Now, before anybody goes after me in the comments, just take a second to listen. These are all my opinions, these are my thoughts. You may not share these opinions, and I understand that, but this is my unbiased review of this game so far. Alrighty, Moonlighters, now that you've heard my opinions, it's time for yours. Go play the game, let me know your thoughts on it. I'll see you in the next video.
And I'll see you in LA.
Dark.